This is MTM Broadcasting, your classic Christian station.
Hello, reading friends. Happy 2025. This is going to be an exciting reading year. In fact, this whole show is going to be about books that are releasing this year. I'm going to highlight 25 different books that you might want to check out. 25 books for the year 2025. You might want to take notes because I'm about to give you a lot of information. All of these books are currently available for pre-order. Just in case you've never pre-ordered a book before, here's how it works. You go to an online retailer of your choice, such as Amazon or Baker Bookhouse. You can search for the title you want, and then where it normally says Add to Cart, it will say Pre-order. If you click that, then when the book comes out, it will automatically be shipped to you if you ordered a paperback copy, or downloaded to your device if you opted to get the ebook or audiobook version. It's that easy. And you won't be charged until the book comes out. So just press pre-order and then it will be delivered to you when the book comes out. And pre-orders really help authors. So if any of these books sound interesting to you, I encourage you to get yourself to an online retailer right now. Show your support and get ready for good reading to be delivered to your doorstep all year long. Books are not the only exciting thing happening this year. 2025 is the year I'm getting married. If you're new to the Well-Read Llama, my name is Erin Mifflen and I'm your host. I'm an author of inspirational historical romance, and though none of my books are published yet, my manuscripts have won several contests, and I believe publication will happen when the time is right. Normally on this show, I interview authors about their works, but for today's show, I'm joined by none other than my fiancé, Joel. Say hi, Joel.
Good morning, everyone.
Joel and I are getting married in how many days?
54 days.
Only 54 days. So we'll be married when I'm reading most of these books. And Joel and I are currently living out our own love story. And if you'd like to follow along for the adventures of a sighted author and a blind radio host, you can follow me at author Erin Mifflen on Facebook or Instagram, or please subscribe to my monthly newsletter, which you can do at authorerinmifflen.com. Joel, do you read much Christian fiction?
Not much.
Well, you might be reading a little bit more now that we're getting married, huh?
Probably so, yeah.
So maybe some of these books will be so interesting that you'll read them separately from me.
Let's find out.
And then one more quick word. I did choose 25 books, but believe it or not, this was actually me being very picky about what to include. There are so many more wonderful books releasing this year. I chose the 25 that I am most likely to read, as well as ones whose authors I am most likely to have as guests on this show throughout the year. So because this is geared to my personal taste, I hope you as listeners won't be offended if I skip over a title that you were looking forward to or left off one of your favorite authors. It's not intentional. I just had to draw the line somewhere, so I chose the ones that I'm most familiar with, or debut authors that I can't wait to read. Joel, are you ready to dive in?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
So I'm going to go roughly in chronological order from the book's release day. So here are 4 books which are coming out in January, so just in the next few weeks.
Let's go.
First up, we have The Indigo Heiress by Laura France. This is a marriage of convenience story set in 1774, and the setting is both colonial Virginia and Scotland. Joel, did you know marriage of convenience is one of my favorite story tropes?
I didn't know that.
And there's actually a lot of similarities between marriage of convenience and how we met and fell in love, because we just knew right away that God had been preparing us for each other, and we became very committed early in our relationship before we even knew each other very well. But we didn't get married immediately.
Right. But we knew right from that first phone call.
Right from the first phone call. And I love Laura France's historical romance, and I'm sure this one is going to be another sweet and engrossing tale.
Sweet and engrossing.
Next up, we have Before the King by Heather Kaufman. This is a biblical fiction novel set during the time of Jesus, and the main character is Joanna, the wife of Herod's steward. She's mentioned by name twice in the book of Luke as someone who followed Jesus and was there at the tomb on the day of his resurrection. Joel, have you ever read any biblical fiction?
No, but this one sounds intriguing.
Yes, I do enjoy a good biblical fiction novel every now and then, and I'm really looking forward to this one from Heather Kaufman. One of my very favorite authors is Elizabeth Camden, and she has a new release coming out this month called When Stars Light the Sky. It's set at the American Embassy in Berlin as tensions are rising before World War I.
That might be something I'd be interested in reading also.
Yes, you like learning about history, don't you?
Yes.
And one thing I admire about Elizabeth Camden is her ability to take real history and spin marvelous start that over. One thing I admire about Elizabeth Camden is her ability to take real history and spin a marvelous imaginative story around it, and so I can't wait to read this one. For our last January release, I'd like to highlight What the Silent Say by Emerson Ford. This debut novel is inspired by a true story and set during World War II. I have several relatives who served during World War II. How about you, Joel?
I'm not sure if I do or not. I've got relatives that served in the Korean War, I think, and Papa was in. I don't know if he was in World War II or not.
One of my great-great-uncles helped liberate a concentration camp in Europe. I was really too young to appreciate his stories when he told them to me, but I'm glad there are those like Emerson Ford who are bringing some of these true stories to life in books like What the Silent Say.
That sounds like another intriguing story that I might want to check out.
Moving on to February, I'm excited for Right Before Their Eyes by Carrie Walker. This book is about 3 young adults not too far out of high school, an elderly woman with dementia, and a 17-year-old girl in foster care whose lives all weave together. And sometimes our lives intersect with others in a way that we don't anticipate, don't they?
Definitely.
So I'm actually reading an advanced copy of this book right now, and the characters are all unique and memorable. If you want to cheer for them and see good things come into their lives, and if you like contemporary stories with a romantic thread, be sure to look for Right Before Their Eyes by Carrie Walker.
All of these sound intriguing so far. So what more do we have going on?
So another February release that I can't wait to read is Midnight on the Scottish Shore by Sarah Sundin, who is another of my absolute favorite authors. This is another World War II story and the second of 3 books that we'll talk about today that are set in Scotland. Have you ever been to Scotland?
I've never been there.
I haven't either, at least not in person, but I'm looking forward to visiting through the pages of these books. This one involves Nazi spies and double agents and plenty of danger, as well as a good dose of romance.
Okay, I definitely want to check that one out.
We might have to read some Sarah Sundin. I really like her.
We may have to do that.
And if you like history that stretches back even further, you'll want to check out As Sure as the Sea by Jamie Ogle. It's set in the year 310.
Wow.
And is about a man named Nicholas, someone who will one day become inspiration for the figure of Saint Nicholas, or Santa Claus. Did you know that the real Saint Nicholas was a pastor and bishop in the early church?
I think I knew that, yes.
Yes, he was. And there's some persecution of the early church that is involved in his story. So if you want to learn more about that, be sure to look up Jamie Ogle and pre-order As Sure as the Sea. Becky Wade has a new book releasing on Valentine's Day. Becky has become another can't-miss author for me. This new book is titled Uneasy Street and is the 3rd book in the Sons of Scandal series. Readers have been waiting for Max's story, and here it is. This series has a wonderful blend of romance, mystery, and humor. And you like humor.
Mm-hmm.
And we're always laughing together.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I love about being with you. It's also another reason I like these books. This story is 2 old frenemies reuniting and seeing sparks fly. I'm sure it's going to be great.
Sounds intriguing.
Another book I'm really looking forward to in February will be An Overdue Match by Sarah Monson. This is a story about a matchmaking librarian who deals with alopecia. It looks to have the hallmarks of some of my favorite books, a fun setting with deep story themes. Have you ever known anybody who had alopecia, Joel?
Not right off the top of my head, no.
You know what alopecia is?
Yes.
Okay. It was just funny the way you said right off the top of my head.
Oh.
Oh, goodness.
Anyway, getting back to the...
Do you want me to ask you that question again?
No. Let's get our heads back on top. This could be a hairy situation.
Okay, I'm going to ask you that again.
Okay.
Have you ever known anyone with alopecia, Joel?
No.
I have not either, but the author has. Her mother has it. So she writes from a place of authentic experience with the disease, from her own family. I can't wait to see how she handles it, especially in the framework of a romantic comedy. That's a pretty serious subject to have in a romantic comedy.
Yeah, it is.
Another debut author I'd like to mention is Megan Soja. Her debut novel comes out in March. It's called Spark of the Revolution and is set in Boston during the Revolutionary War. And Joel, do you know what happened in Boston during the Revolutionary War?
What happened in Boston during the Boston Tea Party?
The Boston Tea Party, that's right.
Yeah.
That's a pivotal moment in this novel. So if you want to learn more about the events surrounding that famous sneak attack, you need to go follow Megan Soja right now and pre-order her book.
Yeah, march over to your computer and order that book on Amazon or any other website like that.
Another March release by an author we've already interviewed on this show is Crystal Cottle's new book called Written in Secret. This historical romance is set in Cincinnati and features a female crime novelist whose works become the catalyst for actual murders across the city.
Okay, that sounds intriguing.
Yes. And now she must join the lead detective in solving the murders. You like murder mysteries and true crime, don't you?
Yes, I like true crime documentaries.
Yes, me too. So, if you listeners enjoy them as well and want to read the story that's set in the Gilded Age, go check out Crystal Cottle. The last March book on my list is another rom-com. Kate Landry Has a Plan by Rebecca Millette is set in New Orleans and features a 40-year-old heroine who runs a cafe and is raising her niece. As you might guess from the title of this book, all of Kate Landry's best-laid plans are on the verge of falling apart. As someone who likes to plan, I can feel myself getting nervous on her behalf. Are you a planner too, Joel?
Yes, I like to know, detail by detail how things are going to work out.
Yes, and that's another thing that I love about you. We get along really well in that regard.
Definitely.
So I'm looking forward to seeing how it all works out for Kate in this book by Rebecca Millette. In April, one of the releases I'm looking forward to is Proclaimer by Megan Shawless. It's a part of a retelling of the biblical Esther story. Joel, do you have a favorite character from the Bible?
Let me think. I think I like Daniel.
That's a good one.
Yeah, and his courage. Whenever he was going to be in the lion's den, and he still prayed to God, even though the king decreed that everyone should bow and pray to him. He stood up for what he believed in.
Yes, and Esther did too, and she's always been one of my favorites. And this particular series is Esther as you've never seen her before. This series, called the Susa Chronicles, is written in the young adult dystopian genre, and Esther and the other young women are part of a contest that is similar to American Ninja Warrior. So it's the Bible meets ninjas.
That's fascinating.
So if that sounds interesting, you're going to want to look up Megan Shawless and check it out. I've talked about a few romantic comedies today, but if you had to ask me the one I'm looking forward to the most this year, I would have to say Some Like It Scott by Pepper Basham. This is another book set in Scotland where an American travel writer gets to stay at a Scottish manor house that is designed to give visitors an Edwardian experience. She's about to have all kinds of adventures and misadventures.
Just the title alone of that book sounds intriguing.
Yeah, Some Like It Scott. Do you like romantic comedies?
Yeah, well, I don't know if I've ever read one before or not.
So I enjoy them every now and then, especially if they're written by talented authors like Pepper Basham, and so I am excited to read this one. I've been a fan of classic literature since I was young, and this next April release is loosely based on A Little Princess by Frances Hodgson Burnett, which I've read several times. It has a twist, though. It's written for the fantasy genre. It's called Illuminary by Shauna Schroeder. Do you read much fantasy, Joel?
Not much.
It's not my favorite genre, but there's some really good ones out there. So the ones that I really like. And if you're a fan of fantasy, or if you're a fan of The Little Princess, you'll want to go find Shauna Schroeder and follow her as the book gets ready to release. Also coming out in April is The Curious Inheritance of Blakely House by Joanna Davidson Politano. I really enjoy Joanna's storytelling abilities as she weaves mysteries with deep themes of life and faith. This book is set in 1901 and involves a woman inheriting an estate from her uncle and also dealing with a mysterious man who washes ashore and threatens to tangle up everything. And Joel, I'm glad you did not come into my life by washing ashore on the lake.
I'm glad I didn't either. That would have been disastrous.
We like to walk by the lake, but
no.
not, not wash ashore on the lake.
No, definitely not.
So if you like historical mystery titles, be sure to look up this one and others by Joanna Davidson Politano. So I said that Pepper Basham's book was the one I'm most looking forward to next year as far as romantic comedies go, but there are several on this list, and now it's time to mention First Love, Second Draft by Becca Kinzer. It's a second chance romance story about a romance writer and her ex-husband who is a Major League Baseball star. And you're not much of a fan of sports, are you?
Not really.
So not being able to see the game would make it a lot harder to follow.
Yeah.
So I do like baseball, and I'm a writer myself, so I'm looking forward to seeing how Becca Kinzer weaves this into the story. As we turn to our June releases, here's one for fans of Gothic Victorian stories. Of Silver and Secrets by Michelle Greep is set in London, but highlights a mysterious silver ring that dates back to ancient Roman days and is found on some supposedly cursed property. One thing I like about Michelle's writing is how she can delve into some darker stories, but there's always hope and light and faith, too. Things are never as bad as they seem, are they?
No.
No. So even in dark times and dark circumstances, there's always faith to hold on to.
Definitely.
So I hope you'll check out Michelle Greep's upcoming book if you like a few shivers as you read. On a completely different note, I'm looking forward to The Blossoming Summer by Anna Rose Johnson. This middle grade fiction is about a 13-year-old girl who discovers that her family has kept their Native American history a secret and how she connects with her heritage through the stories of her grandmother. Do you have any Native American ancestors?
Do it. Can you pause that again? Sorry.
We're good.
I'm not sure if I have any Native American ancestors or not. I think I do, but I'm not sure.
I do, and I don't really know very much about them.
I don't either.
I've enjoyed Anna Rose Johnson's other award-winning middle grade books, and I'm excited to read this one. Another debut novel coming out this summer is The Lawyer and the Laundress by Christine Hill Sunce.
Another intriguing title.
It's set in Canada in 1837 and looks to be a sweet marriage of convenience story between two unlikely characters, the more prestigious lawyer and the humble laundress. I'm glad laundry is done more easily today than it was almost 200 years ago, aren't you?
Me too. I mean, back then they had to, use like washboards and stuff like that, I'm sure, to do laundry, but I mean, we've got washing machines and dryers and stuff like that now, so.
That's so easy, even a blind man can do it.
Exactly.
So I'm excited for this debut by Christine Hill Sunce, and I'm looking forward to reading it. A World War II story coming out in June is The Codebreaker's Daughter by Amy Lynn Green. This story will explore a mother-daughter relationship as the pair work together in Washington to aid the military through the most intense parts of the war. So family relationships can be both wonderful and have some conflict too, can't they?
Yeah.
So I really enjoy Amy Lynn Green's writing style, and I'm sure this book is going to be just as great as her others. Another author whose writing I enjoy is Sarah Brunsvold, and she has a new book coming out called The Atlas of Untold Stories. This is another book that focuses on family relationships as two sisters and their mom go on a road trip to visit significant literary sites through America's heartland. This sounds like exactly the kind of trip I would like to go on.
Definitely. And we take road trips together.
We do.
Yeah.
Do you like road trips?
Mm-hmm.
I would like to like road trips more than I do because I like going places, but I don't really like all the time in the car.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a big part of a road trip.
But if you have a good book or something like that to listen to,
That's true.
Makes it go by faster.
And good company.
Definitely.
But this book will allow me to go on a road trip without ever leaving my house. So make sure you look up Sarah Brunsvold if you'd like to go on this adventure too. Moving on to July, there's a release from Lacey Williams and debut author Wendy Klopfenstein coming out that's called A Secret Heart. It's a Western romance that is actually a twist on While You Were Sleeping, where a woman thinks she's falling in love with one brother while actually being drawn to the other. Have you ever seen While You Were Sleeping?
I'm trying to think. I think I've seen maybe parts of it, but I think when I watched it, I was a kid, so I really don't remember.
Yeah, I like it. Maybe we can watch it together sometime.
That'd be great.
So if that's a rom-com that you enjoy, and you also like Westerns, be sure to watch for this new one from Lacey Williams and Wendy Klopfenstein. The Collector of Burned Books by Rosanna M. White is also coming out in July. This award-winning novelist is working with a new publisher to bring you this release, which is set in World War II. The hero is a German professor who has never wanted anything to do with the Nazi Party, but he's drafted into the military and sent to Paris in a Nazi uniform to oversee things as the Nazis removed French artifacts, and especially French libraries, stealing their national treasures. Can you imagine being put into a predicament where you have to work for your enemies?
I don't know if I'd be comfortable with that or not.
That sounds like a lot of conflict and a very compelling read.
Definitely. Compelling and intriguing, for sure.
Yes. Oh, I can't wait to read this one from Rosanna M. White.
A lot of these authors sound really great so far.
Yes. And last but not least on our list is When the Road Comes Around by Katie Powner, which is scheduled to release in August. Katie's books often involve unlikely friendships and memorable animals, and that's the case again here, as a troubled young man and the owners of a Montana ranch help each other along with a rescue horse named TJ. So as far as memorable animals go, you've had a lot of memorable experiences with cats since you've met me, haven't you?
Yes, definitely.
And we could go on for a whole other episode talking about some of those stories.
Yes.
But this is the end of our book list, though, and I have loved every single one of Katie Powner's books, and I'm sure this one will be no different. Were there any on that list that sounded particularly like you would like to read?
I think I'd like to read the ones that had the Western theme and then the World War II themes as well.
Yeah, when I was putting this together, I had not realized how many of them are set during World War II.
Right.
There were quite a few.
Yeah.
Yes. I am especially looking forward to those as well as the romantic comedies. Those tend to be really fun. And another thing about the Western story that you mentioned with Wendy Klopfenstein, that's actually an author that you've met. Do you remember when we...
Yes, we went to Branson back in August and met her at Cracker Barrel.
Yeah. So...
Her and her sister.
Yep. So Wendy's a good friend, and so that would make it extra interesting for you to read her book, I think.
Right. Very nice ladies.
Yes. And these are very sweet ladies. Most of them I have met from going to writers' conferences and things like that. So that does, as well as my personal taste, does make me a little more, inclined to read their stories because they're women that I've built friendships with.
Right.
Before we go, Joel, why don't you tell us about your work here at the radio station?
I do a morning show with Joe. That's the morning show with Cup of Joe and Cappuccino Joel from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Central Standard Time here on MTM Broadcasting every Monday through Friday. And I also get clients to come on the station with us and be a part of the ministry.
What all do you do on the morning show?
We play classic 70s, 80s, and 90s Christian contemporary music. We do the Power Verse every Monday through Friday. We do This Day in History, and we also do the Charlie's 4-Pack around 8 a.m. So you'll definitely want to tune in for all of that as well.
It's a great show, especially if you like that classic contemporary Christian music.
And working with Joe is awesome. He
Yeah.
definitely keeps me laughing.
He's a great guy.
He is.
So, Joel, we've been talking about books that are coming out this year, but what are some things happening this year that you're looking forward to?
Well, I would have to say that first and foremost, I'm looking forward to our wedding in March.
That's a big deal.
And that's going to be fun, and I'm looking forward to that. And I'm also looking forward to going to my parents' home in Arkansas with you right whenever it begins to change from winter to spring.
That's one of my favorite times of the year.
Mine too, especially out there in the country. And I'm looking forward to church camp in July. I'll be going to Pensacola Christian University with you for the first time for church camp.
Yes, my church goes every year, and Joel is going to get to go with us this year.
Right. And I'm looking forward to going to the ocean again.
Yes, we just recently were in Pensacola for my brother's wedding, and you got to go to the ocean for the first time.
That was a great experience.
Yes, I loved getting to see you experience that.
That was awesome.
So we will definitely have to go again.
Yeah.
And I have several nieces and nephews who are going to be born this year.
Mm-hmm.
So looking forward to that.
Yeah. And I've got a niece. I've got a niece that was born in September that I'm looking forward to getting to know also.
Yes, we've seen her once, but you can't really get to know too much of a baby's personality when they're just 2 months old.
Right.
We do have a little bit of time, so let's do one of these cat stories that I mentioned earlier.
Definitely. So picture the scene, if you will. I'm switching Erin's laundry, and I take the laundry out of the washing machine, put it into the dryer, put it into the dryer, and turn on the dryer. Next thing I know, I hear thunk, thunk, meow, and Erin, you take it from there.
So I was outside at this point. My brother had just gotten into town from college, and he hadn't even come in the house yet. So I was outside saying hi to him. And this was also going to be his first time meeting Joel. And Joel is such a sweetheart. If he knows that I have laundry in, he makes it a point to go and try to get to it and get it into the laundry before I have a chance to do it, or into the dryer, I should say. And so I kind of figured in the back of my mind that that was why he was not outside yet. But he comes to the door and he says,
Erin, we got to talk.
remember, this is my brother meeting him for the first time. And I was like, oh no, what's going on?
And I proceeded to tell you that one of the cats was in the dryer. And then you asked me, which one? And I'm like, I don't know. I couldn't see it.
So I looked around and I'm like, well, they all seem to be okay. So we never did figure out which one took a little spin in the dryer.
At least he wasn't harmed that we know of.
That we know of. So this is a happy story because no harm effects came to this cat.
Right.
So I know that can be a very scary thing. I know people who have lost pets that way. And yes, now you always check very carefully before you start the dryer.
Yes, definitely.
And yeah, we have to watch for cats a lot at my house.
Yeah.
But they're also special to us.
I think when that cat was in the dryer and it was meowing, it was saying, let me out of here.
Meow. So, Joel, what's something that I came up with not too long after we'd been seeing each other?
You said that being in a relationship with a blind man is something you never saw coming. Of course, you also said that I didn't either.
Yeah. Never saw it coming, but I am so blessed to have Joel in my life, and we are looking forward to being married and starting our lives as husband and wife in 54 days.
Definitely.
So if you would like to follow along with our journey as we're getting married and with my own author journey as I'm looking forward to publication, please do follow me online at author Erin Mifflen on Facebook or Instagram, or go to my website, authorerinmifflin.com, and subscribe to my monthly newsletter. You enjoy reading my newsletter, don't you?
Yes. I'm looking forward to the next, the next publication of it.
And if listeners would like to watch your morning show or listen to your morning show, how can they do that?
They can do that under mtmbroadcasting.com, or they can go to Live 365 and download the app, make that their favorite. We're on Facebook and TikTok as well, so there's a variety of ways you can listen. So tune in to Cup of Joe and Cappuccino Joel every Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Central Standard Time right here, and check out the morning show.
All right, this has been fun to do this with you.
It's been great. I've enjoyed it.
Yes. All right, well, until next time, let's just start that again. And next week we hope to be back with another author interview, but until next time...